Hi everybody and welcome to SA Rugby Magazine, and we're chatting about the Lions upcoming Lions tour, Mark. Should be a special occasion. Let's focus on Martin Johnson, a beast of a man, great captain, great rugby player, and that coming from a Welshman. You know, we don't heap praise on English rugby players very often.
Talking about Welsh and Martin Johnson, I see the one quote he always made was when they were beating Wales fairly regularly. He said, "I appreciate it because I grew up in the 70s when we never won a game against Wales." So he has the highest regard for Welsh rugby and the history of it as well. But fantastic player. He makes my World 15, the International World 15, and he captains them.
Not mine.
The best lock that England's produced, certainly the best that the British and Irish Lions have produced.
I always like a wingman when I go out. He's not the best wingman though.
No, I don't think he'd be a wingman, eh? solid citizen. You know, the nice thing about him is that he did also play for New Zealand under 21s. He spent a year in New Zealand doing.
Oh yes, I remember.
Yeah, like a post-schooling thing, and ended up playing for them, and that's something in the CV that not too many people know about.
No.
But he's often spoken about how wonderful it was to win the 2003 World Cup. But if you asked him the 2003 World Cup or beating South Africa in South Africa in 97, he takes that one as the biggest occasion and the biggest kind of celebration of what could have been achieved in his career. I saw this week he's also spoken quite openly about what he feels is needed for the 2021 Lions to be successful in this country when it comes to leadership. He identified Alan Wynne-Jones, Itoja, and then obviously Owen Farrell, who's in the mix as a potential captain. But his leaning was more towards Alan Wynne-Jones, and he said disregard his age. This year's also helped him that he hasn't actually played. He's got one big event left in him, and it's this. He will surpass Richie McCaw as the most capped player in history. He'll go past 150 test matches. He has been amazing for Wales for the last decade. And just grown in stature, and he's Gatland's man. I would be surprised if Gatland looks behind him, and he makes an Owen Farrell a vice captain kind of thing. But Martin Johnson history has shown that the South African public relates and talks to a Lions captain who's big, who's tall, who's imposing. Willie John McBride, 74. Bill Beaumont, 80. 97 it was Johnson, and 2009 it was Paul O'Connell. And he also said that the nicest thing about coming to South Africa, he says, if you're shit, they tell you you're shit when you arrive. If they don't respect you, they tell you they don't respect you. He said he felt in New Zealand and in Australia on those tours, there were a lot of mind games with the media and the public. He says, not here. But if you're good, they tell you you're good as well. And he said it's the greatest Lions tour to go on in South Africa.
Also, it's the thing that we did when we were kids or teenagers was go on rugby tours. It's a full-on. It's the only full-on rugby tour left in the world.
And also, you know, like Australia, they go there. Basically, it's Sydney and Brisbane. New Zealand, they're going to take you from the North Island right down to the south and back to the north. It's not the most pleasurable tour to be on, and the conditions invariably are awful.
And they're not an attractive race of people either.
No, not at all.
No, I spent 8 weeks in New Zealand, 99.
They did once have a Miss Universe. Murray Mexted was.
Which universe was she in?
And she won the Miss Universe.
Did she?
All Black number 8. Yeah. Murray Mexted was married to her.
Well, as Bruno would say, there's always one.
There's always one, eh?
Yeah.
But here, it's the sunny skies, the Chevrolets, the Braaivleis, and Cape Town that they love coming to in the Kruger Park. But with the talk that the tour may, depending on the World Rugby schedule, just be adjusted by a month or to 6 weeks, it would then, instead of starting in July, would start in August or September. It would really suit the tourists because they would come into a South African spring/summer and have, you know, Cape Town Stadium in September. You'll be there. It'll be 20 plus degrees. You'll be there in your shorts and without a top on. And so it makes it an amazing occasion to attend.
People from Newcastle will come in thongs.
Exactly. And then you've got Wales and England, the two teams that South Africa beat in the World Cup semi-final and final, which are going to be the core of that side. Still some very good Irish players.
It's going to be a bloody strong Lions side.
Completely. And the only thing that Warren Gatland says he hasn't achieved with the Lions is winning in South Africa.
Yeah.
And he'll be the first guy to ever basically do 3 in a row
Yeah.
and have success. Even though it was a drawn series against New Zealand, they didn't lose it. And he was here in 2009 as one of the assistants. And he says it's still kind of something that rankles because he feels they could have won that series and they didn't. But yeah, it's going to be monstrous. And you just see more and more of these Lions players talking about being in the Republic and playing the Springboks and the culture of rugby here and just how good that Springbok side was at the 2019 World Cup. And I think for South Africans, we don't always appreciate just how big it is to come to this country to play the Springboks because of the several indifferent years we've had between those cycles where we peak, that we haven't had that consistency. But given the squad of players available to Rassie Erasmus, given the quality of players available to Warren Gatland, I think it's going to be
The best tour ever.
and the most brutal 3-test series
Yeah.
that we've seen. And starting off at the FNB Stadium, Soccer City, 90,000, down to Cape Town, and then back to the cathedral, the spiritual home of Springbok rugby, Ellis Park, to finish that series. Fantastic.
And you're also living out a 500 to 1 dream because you'd have got at least 500 to 1 on the odds of a Bach victory preceding each Lions tour. I mean, it's a phenomenon.
Yeah, because each time they've come
Yeah.
in the profession era,
You've
the
been
Boks have been
in the
world
world
champions.
champions,
Yeah, and you could say this is the best of 3 as well because they won 97, we won 2009,
Yeah.
and now it's 2021. And it's again interesting, Pieter-Steph du Toit, and one of his biggest motivators to stay, because he's only staying for the next year's Super Rugby and the Lions Series, then he'll go overseas. But he felt that the Lions Series is bigger than the World Cup. He says, because if you
And
blow
bigger-
it, you don't get another chance.
Yeah.
It's every 12 years, and Percy Montgomery made his debut against the Lions
In 97.
in 97, never got another chance to play against them, but then was involved as the kicking coach and skills coach. And he said just winning it as part of the management was as good as winning it as part of as a player. And he says he felt that he got a crack back at them. He was the one holding the tee next to Mornay Steyn as he kicked it from 53 meters.
Yeah.
At least then Monty saw one go over against the Lions.
Good one. Yeah, let's chat about the tickets because there's still some people out there that think that they've got hold of tickets, and if anybody that thinks that they have, the sad thing is you haven't.
You haven't, and you're potentially not going to get your money back either.
Yeah.
So we'll keep on reinforcing that. If you go to the SA Rugby magazine, British and Irish Lions section,
Yeah,
there's the official registration. You'll see it on the back there, the registration that you can go to. Register. You'll get all your information. They'll announce there when the ballot's going to be announced. The talk is it will potentially be around September. And only then will the official, because they'll know whether the tour's been put back by a month or not. Will you know when the games are, where you can then request games. So it's not to say you're going to get them either, because that's what the ballot does. It's if I request 1 ticket per test match, the other person requests 20 just for one. I may get my 1 per test match. The person doesn't get the 20 for the 1. So it's the most accepted system in the world when it comes to elite tournaments is the ballot system. And then post the ballot system, it then goes into the greater market, which they call the lottery.
Yeah.
But if you're buying any tickets now, they're illegal and they don't actually exist.
Sully will come and get you.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So but register for it because you could miss out. Because you've got to register to be in with a crack at the ballot. You can't then say, well, I'm going to go down to the ground and get my tickets. And you've got 3 test matches. You've got the 3 matches against the Super Rugby franchises that I expect to be sold out very quickly.
Look, every Lions game on tour is an occasion.
It is.
Make
And
no
then the one in
mistake.
Port Elizabeth, and my understanding is it's a SA-15, and it may be one that's picked from players who come from that region. So it could be a fantastic team and occasion that they put together. And then the other one is going to be played in up north, and it's really the Safari Test, Umbella, where all the tourists want to go to the...
What's that stadium called? Mbombela?
Yep.
Yeah.
So what did I say?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. No, it'll be-
So it's going to be a fantastic 8 matches at 8 events.
Well, 96, I came here to South Africa in 96, and 97 watched the Lions tour. Remember the opening game. And I remember the drinking after that, and I think it caught a lot of South Africans by surprise. The amount of traveling and the horde of travelers that come over from the British Isle, from Britain.
Well, you speak to the Springboks from 97, but more so even 2009. And the players who played in the provincial games, they said they couldn't believe it. When they ran out onto their own home stadium, they thought they were back in the UK somewhere. Just that sea of red. So I don't think it's going to be that weighted in favour of red jerseys as opposed to green jerseys, because of the way the ticketing system has been kind of structured, that there's...
Well, no one will have any money to buy tickets because of the cigarette ban. Maybe
You're going to have to decide a ticket or a cigarette at this stage.
Exactly,
Because you could get I'm sure you can get a really good ticket instead of getting a carton of cigarettes at the moment.
Yeah, no, geez, I think they're going, I've been told they're going for 2,800 Rand. Anyway, that's for another day. Mark, thanks very much for giving us an update on that, and I'll chat to you next week.
Pleasure. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.